What's going on, people? Happy Monday, if Mondays are happy. The beginning of the dreaded work week as we wait till the weekend. Yeah, I'm still sick. This is fucking ridiculous. It's been some time now, so I apologize for my voice ahead of time. Um, Joining me tonight, as always, it's Mr. Mean Dean Renner. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, man? I'm in the same boat you are. I'm still fighting this cold off. I don't know what it is or why it won't go away, but either way, I'm here and I'm ready to talk some stuff tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a few things this evening. Um, we have a multiple choice question to get to for everybody in the chat. Um, we're going to be talking when will the Halloween TV series debut, and I do believe I have a pretty concrete window on that, and that's not like inside information. That's just doing the math of what's out there. Certain entertainment news that has come down over the last 6 to 7 weeks should let you know what that window is, and we'll discuss that alongside when we think the Crystal Lake series will debut. Dean has something ready for show and tell, but I have no idea what it is. We have not conversed on it at all, so it'll be a mystery to me. So looking forward to that. We'll also be joined by Matt Whitfield, as long as he doesn't fall asleep on us again. Um, our boy Matt. Also, by the way, Matt's a Mets fan, so like he gets it bad all the time. So let's just he's a Green Bay Packers fan too. And I mean that Mets and the Packers. He's glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm a Leafs fan, so you know. Anyways, a lot to get into this evening. Um, Brief preview though of what we have planned for next week. Now it depends on Dean's ability to go see it on in terms of what the show will be exactly. But the plan next week is if we can both see Thanksgiving before next Monday, we will do a full blown spoiler review on Thanksgiving for the episode. Jade and I are going to see it Saturday, which is exciting because we live in the middle of nowhere now, and I don't even remember the last time we went and seen a movie. So I'm looking forward to that. Paw Patrol, accurate, sadly. Um, but yeah, looking forward to that. And if Dean can't see it, I will still give a non-spoiler review for everybody out there. So in some shape or way, Thanksgiving will be a big part of next week's show. Dean, what have you thought of what you've seen of Thanksgiving so far?
I like the trailer. It's definitely got me intrigued. Um, I was checking show times this week. The earliest for me is Thursday. If my schedule is clear Thursday, I can probably get out there to see it Thursday night pretty early, around like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So hopefully, I get my schedule that comes out, and then once I find out for sure, I'll get in touch with you and let you know if I can make it there. So I think it's actually looking pretty good. I think I have a light week coming up, so Thursday should be clear.
I'm trying to not get my hopes too high for the movie. I've seen a couple of trailers. It looks really good. Like
Yeah.
I can't find negatives in the trailers.
Mhm.
But as we've talked about on this channel before, a lot of times you can have the most incredible movie trailers to the most garbage movies.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jade's looking forward to seeing Patrick Dempsey on screen. Obviously, big time Grey's Anatomy actor from I don't know how long he was there, over a decade. Um, and then there's the guy from Suits is in the movie, and there's someone else too. But just in general, the movie looks good. The cinematography looks good. It was shot a good chunk of it in Port Perry, Ontario, Canada, not far from here. And that it's an old school town. Has old school vibes to it, not
Nice.
caught up with the current times, and I think that will look good on screen. I can't remember if any of Port Perry was shown in the It movies or not. I feel like that might have been Coburg in the It movies alongside Oshawa. So Port Perry's a little different than what we've seen recently, although um, Charlie Hunnam and Tom Hiddleston did a movie years ago. I can't remember what's Crimson Peak. That's it.
Hmm.
And Crimson Peak, part of Crimson Peak was filmed in Port Perry.
Nice.
So if you've seen Crimson Peak, it's a little bit of film trivia for you. Oh, welcome. Really? Apparently, Welcome to Mooseport was filmed in Port Perry, which I did not know, which
Mm,
is a Ray Romano and Gene Hackman film, one of Gene
yeah,
Hackman's last films. So Jade with the movie knowledge there. Although I didn't fact check it, so if it's wrong, it's on her. Um, anyways, let's get the show on the road here. Multiple choice question for this video. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Will you watch a Halloween series that does not feature Lori? Yes. Now we've asked about the shape before, but this is specifically referring to Laurie Strode. Doesn't have to be Jamie Lee Curtis. It could be somebody else playing the role. Just the character in general, Laurie or Loomis. If the series doesn't have either, will you be tuning into it? Dean, I'll go to you first, man. What are your thoughts on this? Can you handle a Halloween series that doesn't include either of these characters?
I think so. I'm burned out on Lori, as I think a lot of people are, especially in the new trilogy, being very focused on her. So I think we can give her a break. It would be great to get Loomis back. We got that little tease in Kills, which was great to see him back in that flashback. Um, but as far as if the series news comes out and they're not going to have either one of them, I'm okay with that. Um, Either give us Michael, give us Season of the Witch stories like we had talked about before, or maybe come up with something maybe kind of new. I don't know, but yeah, if they're gonna go any route, no Lori, no Loomis, but it's Halloween centric, I'm definitely gonna tune in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the guy that threw it there a few weeks ago when Braden was on here with us. That you could sell me on a Cult of Thorn origin series, which
Oh
would
yeah,
be like really different and out there and probably dating back, hundreds of years. And I love shit like that. It just depends on the execution, right? Let me
yeah,
close Facebook because that just came over. Anyway, um, yeah. So like, I'm open to a lot of different Halloween series, whether it has Laurie or Loomis or Michael or anything. Like, I do suspect whatever we get will end up having the shape in it. Um, but I'm not like closed off to the idea of doing something unique and different.
no. And we mentioned that we obviously want to see Michael, but we had discussions on a couple previous episodes of different ideas and different directions they can go. And I think all of us are pretty open to seeing what they might come up with. Hopefully, it's not too out there and too much of like a flop where it kind of flops the series and then we're still disappointed. But um, yeah, I mean, as news comes out, I'm sure we'll talk about it on here and we'll get a way better idea of like whatever direction they're going to go.
Yeah, there's obviously numerous directions it could go. One of the things I'm a little concerned about though is, if it is to contain Michael Myers, given how close the Michael was in the David Gordon Green trilogy to that of the classic 1978 Michael, I don't think, if it does include Michael, that we're going to get something that's close to the original Michael look. I think it's going to be something different. I think there's going to be twists and turns to the mask, maybe even the coveralls. Like, I think we will, like, you'll be able to take the Michael from the TV series and go, yeah, that is definitively the Michael from the TV series compared to any of the other Michaels. I'm not saying it'll be drastically different, but I do expect them to do something different with the appearance of the character, which, might not be favorable to traditionalists, but you can't really do the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is we've gotten Michael in white mask and coveralls in how many? Basically the whole franchise. So the TV series would line them up to do something different, and with them planning to go like cinematic universe and tie it into films, whether it be previous franchise films or branch off in a new direction to set up something new in the future. Um, if you get a different look and a different style of character, you're setting yourself up already to kind of lead into a film. And depending on how well it's received, it could go either way. Yeah, it's like you said, people could, if they're traditionalists, they might not take well to it. And if they really kind of botch the design, it could be negative. But then again, they could come back and throw something at us that kind of catches our attention, and then steers things in a new but interesting direction. So I'm good with it either way.
Dustin says, "I love the idea. I love the idea you had about a true detective type story that takes place right after H1, and have it be the shape disappears after being shot, and a couple of detectives look into the murders." Yeah, I think the most successful Halloween TV series you could do is something that strives to be the quality of a True Detective season one, with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Um, I think a story like that would be wonderful. It'd give you a chance to get attached to protagonists, and actually feel something for them when people connected to them or even they die, which I don't think we get with a lot of Halloween movies or just horror movies in general, to be honest.
Right.
Um, so like I do love that idea. I just don't know if they will have the patience or the quality control to put out a product that's anywhere as close to as good as True Detective season one. Like that's a high bar. That's an HBO bar.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, they want to go do a deal with HBO and they're gonna, do a Miramax HBO deal. I'd be over the moon. But
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. That's the other thing is we don't know the creatives attached to this at all. And once we finally do know the creatives, um, I think we'll be able to have a better idea on what kind of product that we're going to get. I will say this though, if it's not Michael Myers, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of Mike Flanagan getting in on this. I really don't think he wants to do anything with Michael. I think he's just petrified of just not being able to come up with something interesting with Michael, is how he put it. But if it's a non-Michael Halloween story, I definitely would not rule out Mike Flanagan. A different take, maybe a more serious take on Season of the Witch. He would fit into that too. So, keeping in mind, if it's going to be a series, they would have to do a deal with Prime, and then it gets complicated because they can't shop it to other places. And so, there's so many twists and turns to
Yeah.
what's to come still. And honestly, I do think sooner than people expect, we'll probably get an idea on some of the creatives attached to this.
Yeah, that's like a big interest of mine. I want to see who they attach to it, and what we get, and then eventually like we start to get the details of what idea that they're going to start to kind of put together, and what we'll be in for. So I'm trying to wait patiently, but I, how soon details are going to start to come out. But got my fingers crossed. I hope it's in the near future.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something, whether it's an official announcement or a strong rumor from a major Hollywood trade, uh, between now and the end of the year.
Okay.
Be that soon.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, it's time for Dean's show and tell.
Don't tell.
No idea what he's showing off. I know Matt's waiting in the green room. And we're going to talk Crystal Lake tonight too. Matt's a Friday the 13th guy, so it'll be interesting to get his takes on that as well. Dean, what do you have to show us tonight?
So I was kind of picking through my stuff and looking, and I'm like, what should I grab? I don't want to really veer away from horror too much. So people have probably noticed this in the background for the past couple of weeks, probably wondering what this might be. So if I can get this without dropping it, this is this is like a Blu-ray box set. Um, you're talking like 2014. And for anyone that doesn't know what this truck is, this is the truck from the end of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this is the Black Maria Blu-ray box set. Came out 2014. And the big seller on this is this packaging right here. You kind of get this cool design. And then the whole back kind of pulls open and extends the whole thing. And then housed inside is your Blu-ray case. Pops out right here. And you get, I think it's a 5-disc set. Limited edition, 2 Blu-rays, 2 DVDs, and a bonus disc that has like a roundtable sit down with William Friedkin and Toby Hooper to discuss, I guess, anything and everything about the whole movie. So that was pretty cool. And this is older. I think this is actually still available though. If you look around, I think Amazon or just a couple other spots, you can get your hands on this. And this was reasonably priced. This was like $60, I think I got for a great price. And then the one final piece they threw in here, which I thought was pretty cool, It's a little prop. You don't get too many props with stuff like this, but I'll kind of flip this open. I'm not going to take it totally out, but this is Leatherface's Bloody Butcher's apron, which I thought was a cool touch.
That's awesome.
Yeah, life size. So that's been hanging out in the box in the packaging because I have nowhere else to put it. But I figured that'd be pretty fun for show and tell this evening.
Yeah, no, that's badass. I'm honestly a little jealous of that simply because I'm a huge Supernatural fan, and I thought when they finally did the whole 15 seasons on Blu-ray, I still hold out hope for 4K one day, but
Yeah.
I thought it made the most sense to do the Impala from Supernatural.
Yeah,
and
it'd be a real cool box set.
Like in a box like that,
Yeah.
and just nothing. There was no uniqueness or creativity to it whatsoever. It just and like even now, years later, they still want like $300 for the fucking thing. I'm like, what am I paying $300 for? Like
a big old box and just to own it all.
Like a lot of people already own it on DVD and Blu-ray.
Right.
So I don't know. I find a lot of the time places really lack creativity with their box sets and stuff. It's one of the reasons why I was a huge Star Wars fan growing up, though, is like Star Wars had all these like interesting, unique special editions and different box sets and different behind the scenes sets. And even like as a Halloween fan, now with we get the Scream Factory ones, but there's been I guess the ones before that were Scream Factory too.
Yeah.
But like there's at least options,
right?
And there's a lot of stuff that you don't get options for.
Yeah.
It's just here it is, take it or leave it.
Right.
So I definitely appreciate how unique that is.
Yeah, I spotted it and I saw the price, and then I looked up the year that it was available, and then I was shocked it was still around. So I jumped on that one just to make sure that I got it, and I think I've had it like 2-3 years now. So yeah, it's a fun one, but it's been upgraded to 4K. That other set right there behind me, that's a 4K set that is UK exclusive from Second Sight, and then down behind me on the lower shelves I have the 4K Steelbook and 4K slipcover versions of the original TCM as well. So I got quite a few copies of that.
I mean, every time I see your shelf behind you, I'm just like, wow, there's so much there.
And it grows every week too. So
I've been sort of on a kick for this, and I know you and I talked about possibly doing some material on this show for it at some point. But did you ever get anything pertaining to the Batman? Was there anything that ever, piqued your interest and made you want to pick it up on 4K? Like, did they ever do anything unique? I know you and I talked around the release of it that there weren't any options, but I haven't checked lately to see if there's anything better out there. I just thought that for sure was going to get something big, and in my opinion, it never really did.
No, it got a couple steelbooks, and then it got like a Walmart exclusive, like a gift set. But that was kind of strange. It was a larger box, and then inside the box was either a steelbook or a slipcover version. But I think the big seller on that was it was a big rectangular, I think it was a metal plate art piece, or it might have just been a cardboard pop up. But you could take that and you could pop that up on display, if you had shelves like me or something like that. But they never really did anything big or over the top. I got the Steelbook, the first version Steelbook when that came out. And then about a year later, they did another one. They just kind of did a redesign and re-released it. But besides those, that was pretty basic. So I have a feeling when the next one comes out, as that has its theater run and then gets a physical announcement, they might do something where they pack both of them together, put them in a box set together, and do something bigger. But I don't even know when that'll be, because I haven't really heard much about the Batman 2 or anything for a couple of months now.
There's actually quite a bit about that out right now.
Is there?
Yeah, they're finalizing the script.
Okay.
And I think it's set to release right around Halloween 2025.
Okay.
Nice. So yeah, things are picking up there, and then the Penguin debuts. Is it next year or is it later this year that it debuts?
I'm going to take a guess that it's probably next year, because I've heard about it. That's the Max series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, big shout out to Mr. Jason Knight in the chat. Backtrack Cinema, they sponsor this channel. And I thought I seen that he just did a review on the Deadpool, not to be confused with Marvel's Deadpool. Two different things. I think he also did Rocky Balboa, meaning that'd be the 6th movie in the franchise. So check out Backtrack Cinema. Also shout out to Matt Whitfield, who's about to come on. He sponsors the channel alongside Ryan at Colleague Nation and Jesse over at Story Time Spectacular. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here as often as we are, so it's greatly appreciated. Without further ado, though, big Friday the 13th fan, big Halloween Ends fan, I'm sure.
Oh, he loves it.
It's the one and only Mr. Matt Whitfield. What's going on, buddy?
Man, I thought I was coming on here to talk about Dean's love for Halloween. I mean, Halloween Ends.
We're all coming out of the proverbial Halloween Ends closet. We've secretly loved it the entire time. We just made a pact.
We have a group chat about it. We talk about it every day.
The cult.
Yeah. Great.
You doing good?
I'm doing pretty good. Work's kicking my butt, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
So, I've seen some chatter online, people trying to predict when the Halloween TV series is going to come out. And I think that's kind of interesting simply because people are already wondering when it's going to come out, even though the rights were just figured out. And Friday the 13th, or rather Crystal Lake, has over a year head start on the Halloween series. But honestly, I think it's a really easy answer to when you can expect the Halloween series. The window's big. There's not going to be a Halloween series on your TV screens next year. It's not. And if it is, it's not going to be very good. I'm just being honest. So in my opinion, you can rule out 2024, which leaves you with either 2025 or 2026. It won't be later than that, in my opinion, and the reason for that is if people were paying attention to the writer's strike and the actor strike, the extensions on the new deals are more like bridge deals. They're not long-term deals. Usually when they figure these deals out, sometimes they've been as long as a decade, sometimes they've been as long as 5 years, but they're never typically only 3 years long.
Yeah.
And both of them are only 3 years long. So you're going to have so many studios during this 3-year window pushing out as much fucking content as they possibly can. And the reason for that is there's going to be another strike. They're not overly, both sides aren't overly happy with the terms that were met, but specifically the studios, I don't think got what they necessarily were leaning towards. And I'm not saying they should have either, by the way. But in my opinion, I would be utterly stunned if there is no Halloween TV series on your screen during this deal. It's 3 years long, which means the last possible chance for it would be Halloween 2026. I also think that if they have creatives in mind and they already have an idea in mind, that I'm leaning heavily towards we're going to see a Halloween TV series in 2025. I don't want them to rush it. If it takes them longer and we get it in 2026, so be it. Quality over quantity any day of the week. But yeah, my cop-out answer is, it basically has to be in this 3-year window because the next strike will probably be just as ugly, if not worse. And when that gets set back, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, it sets everything else back. And sometimes the talent contracted to these movies and or series are higher priorities to get other projects done. And then you run into, well, how far does filming get delayed? As for example, Star Wars Ahsoka season 1, pardon me, came out in August and it was done by, I believe, the beginning of October.
Wow.
You're not seeing season 2 for that show till this time 2025, and that's being optimistic. That's how far things are pushed back right now. So yeah, 2025, 2026 is my honest guess on that. Dean, what are your thoughts? And do you have a projection on when it might come?
That's about the ballpark I was thinking. I was thinking anywhere from probably a year and a half to 2 years. Just because they gotta get creatives, they gotta get cast, they gotta write it, they gotta go to pre-production, and then production, and they gotta work everything out that they have to do a project. So my guess at the earliest was like a year and a half. I wouldn't be surprised at 2 years. So I mean, I think that's realistic. And then throwing that in there with the strike deal is only going to be for 3 years. They're going to want to get it out before that happens again. So yeah, I would say a year and a half, 2 years is probably best bet.
Matt?
I'm pretty much on the same wavelength with y'all. It's got to be 2025, probably the fall releases of 2025. As if I had to bet, is when we're going to get it. I mean, and if we're going to have to wait 2 years for it, I think that's a good thing. We don't need to rush, just like you said.
Yeah.
It's all about the quality of what's getting done this time around after the debacle of the David Gordon Green trilogy.
Yeah.
But make sure it's right, make sure it's good, and then I mean we're still going to get something 2028 for the 50th, no doubt in my mind. So if we got to wait, 2 years, I mean 2.5 years before we get something, why not be fine with that? Because in another 2 or 3 years we're going to get another movie. We're going to get a movie.
Yeah.
So cool your jets, calm down. It'll be good in time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, considering they keep pushing the Halloween cinematic universe thing. If we get a couple of seasons of Halloween TV, whether they're connected or not, in terms of like one being season 1, one being season 2, or them being just two different shows set in the same universe, I wouldn't be surprised if the movie that follows that up ends up being the 2028 film, because you have to do something for 50 years.
Absolutely.
Like, massive milestone. Same thing with Star Wars. Star Wars has their 50 year 1 year before Halloween does. You just, and I believe Star Wars has 1, maybe 2 movies planned for that year. So I would suspect Halloween's going to be all over doing something in 2028. We've been saying that for a while. Matt, earlier in the episode, we talked about if Michael Myers is in it, don't be shocked if Michael, doesn't have that traditional Michael look. I still suspect it'll be a white mask and some form of coveralls if Michael's in the film, or in the series. But I would also think, because it's a series, because they want to establish it's different, that this Michael could be, a little bit or even a lot different visually than what we've got in the past, which might piss off some traditionalists. Where do you fall in regards to that? Are you open-minded in terms of how Michael can look, or do you think it needs to be pretty close to that original Michael look?
Well, I'm sure as hell not a traditionalist. I'll say that right off the bat. I'm pretty open to a different look. I think as long as they at some point, if this is more of a, you see Michael's face, maybe, and when he was younger, maybe go that route, and then lead towards the mask, like I think they're going to do with Friday 13th. They're going to lead towards the mask. We're not going to get the mask right off the bat. It's going to take some time. So, I mean, if you're going to do this for Jason, who 99% of the times run around with the mask on, why not do it for Michael? Take it off. Let's see where we can go with it.
Sean, I think you're muted.
Jerry sends in a super chat saying, I'd love to see a TV show focusing on Hawkins between the events of the flashback in 2018, like a detective story with an older seasoned Loomis and young Hawkins under his wing. If Blumhouse would have got the rights, and not to say that they still couldn't do that, they absolutely could. Blumhouse doesn't own the creative rights to that story. But that would have been really cool. Yeah. Like that you could have sold me on. Absolutely. That flashback sequence in Halloween 2018, there's just so much fallout that could have come from that. As much as I like Halloween Kills, I think it's a 2018 before that, but as much as I like Halloween Kills, the idea of just being back in that time, and we've never really seen the aftermath of, okay, so what happens the next day?
What happened?
You know, how did everybody handle that next day?
Yeah.
It'd be cool to do something like that. So I think that's a unique take, and maybe with a character that's not Hawkins, that could still play out. To me, I look at True Detective. If I'm them, depending on how much money they do or do not have available, it's going to depend on the type of quality that you put out. I don't suspect they're going to do anything with HBO, so comparing it to an HBO show is probably not fair. But if I was the one in the driver's seat, that is what I'd be striving for.
Yeah, that's definitely an intriguing idea. I would definitely like to see something like that. Will we get it? Probably not, but there's always a future, so someone can always come back to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, it was just, I think we were all in awe. We were all in awe. That back, the flashback in Halloween Kills, and that was the one piece of that movie. You were like, all of us were like, damn, I wanted some more. I wanted to see what was going on. Maybe the next day, you still got Loomis running down Lambton Lane yelling, I shot him 6 times. I still shot him 6 times, but, it is what it is. And they missed the mark on something that could have been really good, but I doubt if they're going to go back to it, and that's a shame.
I wouldn't rule out them doing a period piece, but again, it's going to depend on how much money they have, right? Like, it's a different beast. So we'll see what ends up happening. John says, I think straying too far from the traditional Myers look would be a mistake. So one of the looks that that I've thought of would be, how you can get like the coveralls, but they're like the construction worker coveralls. There's orange ones, but there's also black ones that have like the yellow on them, and some of them have the orange on them. I could see them having something like that in a more Leatherface style Michael Myers mask. And I know that might be too far for some people, but for me, if done right and presented right, that still, has the DNA of the Michael look. To me, I wouldn't be shocked if it's something like that or something more extreme if Michael's going to be featured in the TV series. I think you'll definitively be able to look at the beginning of our intro. There's 5 different Michaels there. I think you'll be able to look at whatever this Michael ends up being and go, just by looking at him for 2 seconds, and be able to go, that's the Michael from the TV series.
Yeah. That's definitely a direction they could go. You could start out with like coveralls like that, and then maybe something happens to his face. Maybe he goes maskless, but he's kind of hiding in the shadows, so we don't see it. And then he gets into some kind of altercation. He gets, disfigured, or, just something drastic happens to his face where that's why he goes and seeks out some kind of mask. And then, we get something almost traditional to the Michael look, but, slightly different, but mask coveralls, and it's him. So that's always an option too.
They can go get a legitimate Captain Kirk mask.
Right.
No alterations.
Yeah. Or even they could go the sad clown, the Emmett Kelly mask, like they were going to do in '78.
Right.
There's a ton of options.
I also think I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think one of the things they're going to strive to do is bring John Carpenter and company back to do the score for the series. I do think that might happen, but I also think that they will set out to have that sound quite a bit different than the sound that they used in the David Gordon Green trilogy. I don't think they will want it to, again, much like the appearance of Michael, I don't think they would I think they would want you to be able to listen to the album and go, yeah, that's the Halloween TV series album, or
right.
Yeah, no, those are the 3 David Gordon Green movies.
Yeah,
I think you're more. You're gonna. I think you're gonna go more the traditional Halloween '78 kind of score if they go back to it.
Yeah, like piano chords and not like the heavy strings and guitars that we got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me H2.
I mean, because like
Something
we all,
close to
Yes.
H2.
Yeah, I'll take
yeah.
that all day.
We all know that it's the score that works.
Yeah,
especially in the original. I mean, when you go to see that movie exec, this movie's not scary. Put the music on it, completely different.
yeah.
So it just shows you the power of the music, and especially with him, you got it. I think you got to get the music right too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think if you don't have the right score with a Halloween movie, it doesn't work. And not to like knock the Rob Zombie movies, but one of the things that just turns me off about those movies is the score is just so not Halloween. And
Yeah.
it's like to me it's like Star Wars. Again, not to go back to Star Wars, but like how ineffective would Star Wars be without John Williams doing the score to most of all those first 6 movies? Like you can listen to a piece of music from those movies and basically be able to say that's from Star Wars, even if you've only seen it once. I would hope that they don't cheap out on the TV series music. And I know John Carpenter was like teasing some stuff at age 45, so we'll see what happens. But I do think they'll try to have him involved on some level.
Yeah, it'll pull viewers, so I mean, it makes all the sense to do it.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears here before we get ready to head out for the night. And that is something in Matt's area of expertise. We're going to talk a little bit of Friday the 13th, or more so, Crystal Lake by Bryan Fuller. And I'll ask you both right off the bat. Have either of you seen the Hannibal series from him?
I have not, but from what you've said, I've heard it's great and it's really worth checking out. So I'm probably going to put that on like my to-do list.
Matt? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, what
I thought it was really good. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with what's his name?
Oh, Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mads Mikkelsen, not Lars Mikkelsen. Getting them confused. They're brothers. Mads plays the role.
One of the Mickelsons.
Yeah, Mads is so good in that series. So is Lawrence Fishburne. Like he adds a level of seriousness to that series. Really pays off. It's a very character-driven series, but it is twisted and fucked up, and it is a slow burn. So you got to be willing to stay with it. But like, there's all sorts of horrible, gruesome shit in that series, and it goes 9 ways of wacky, and yet the writing in it is just so incredibly done, which is why I sit here and I go, Bryan Fuller doing or Crystal Lake. I'm 100% sure that this is not going to be your traditional Friday the 13th movie. It's not going to be super campy. It's not going to roll your eyes. I think this is going to be like there might be, aspects that might get campy at times, or, like a campy kill here or there at some point. But I think the tone of this series is probably going to be something similar to what we got with Hannibal, to be honest, simply because A24 doesn't really do campy either.
No, they do like
I
little artsy, but yeah.
I mean, I really think if they're going to go back and, tell the story of how fucked up Pam Voorhees is, who better than to pull it off? Because we know she killed people between Jason dying and then camp getting reopened because she was doing everything in her power not to get it reopened. So I think you're going to see that aspect of the story. You're going to probably see who Jason's father was. I mean, you're going to get that sick, fucked up, demented family, and what she's doing around as far as killing. And I think he's perfect for it.
I do kind of wonder if this is going to be like a non-linear story with Crystal Lake, simply because I'm pretty sure they already cast someone as adult Jason, and yet we've already heard of things being in motion with Jason's mom, and like living too. So I do wonder if this story is going to sort of skip everywhere, and you might have like a current timeline of events and then a past timeline of events, or not. I don't think it was officially announced, but I believe a lot of outlets reported someone being cast as Jason off. My mic muted itself. Interesting. And we'll have to get back to you guys next week on it. But like, I'm really excited for Crystal Lake. It sucks that the strike happened when it did, and that it lasted for as long as it did, because we probably were on pace to see Crystal Lake next year, and now I don't.
I still think we are.
You think so? I think it'll be sometime in the late spring, early summer 2025.
If they got all this stuff done leading up to production, I think we could. It really depends on where they're at. If they're farther along than we expect, we could see 2024. If they're not, we're definitely going to see 2025. But if it was 2024, it's going to be a late 2024, no doubt. We're talking, Halloween, probably around Halloween. I still think it's realistic. Only if 3/4 of the stuff leading up to production is done. That's all. It really depends on where they're at.
Yeah, I wish I had a better idea where they're at. I just think I think people should be careful with where their expectations are for this thing. And actually, before we go, did you have anything you wanted to end on Crystal Lake with, Dean? You have any? I know you said Friday was like your next biggest thing behind Halloween, but like, do you actually, to both of you, we'll start with Dean, like, is there something you really want the series to, encapsulate? Because like, we haven't gotten any official Friday the 13th content since 2009.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm kind of in the dark about the details, as I guess most of us are. I haven't really seen much, so I'm intrigued. Knowing A24 got it and knowing like their style of like filmmaking, I'm really interested to see what direction they go. And if I remember correctly, their TV rights give them like the opening to kind of expand all options. Like they're not really limited on what they can do. So they have like a big open playing field of what, whatever ideas they can string along. So getting away from like campy and fun like we're used to, we have how many movies of that already? So like go a different direction, go dark, go serious, give us some twisted shit. Like I'm open to see that as long as it's, going to keep our interest and develop a good story along the way. So that's mostly what I'm looking forward to, is hopefully like a slight change of direction.
Maddie?
For me personally, I want more backstory. If you want to splattering recent Jason here and there, that's fine. But I want majority backstory. We've seen what we need to see from a lot of the fight there. The campy, the space, all that stuff. We've seen all that. Let's understand why. What happened? Was she an alcoholic that caused Jason to be disfigured? Was she doing drugs? Was there's so many ideas you could go with that kind of lead her down that path. And where was the father in all this? A lot of people say he was a forest ranger out Crystal Lake, and that's all that stuff. Who knows where they're gonna go with it? But we don't need to see, like I said, throwing some camping here and there, but this needs to be a majority driven backstory. Yeah. If it's not, people are gonna pass it over.
Right.
And like I said, I really think, we've been talking to, this has been out in the out there for, I want to say, a year now, even before the strike.
Almost. Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like it's been almost a year. It's been out there before the strike. I can't, now that you know who's attached to it, once you know who the director is, you're not as that far away from shooting as you might think you are, especially with a TV series. It's not the long drawn out process that a movie is with a director. So I mean that's why my fingers are seriously crossed of 2024, end of 2024. But it wouldn't surprise me if it was 2025. But I don't think they're gonna make us wait all the way to the end of the year. This could be, you know, how they release TV shows in the spring, series shows in the spring after the first run. Okay, this show's not doing too good. We got this show. Let's put it on out. So I could definitely see where it could be a mid-spring. I mean, a springish 2025 at the worst. They don't need to take it all the way into Halloween at 2025.
John says they could possibly do some great story with Pamela being a single parent for a special needs child, especially if it's set in the 50s or 60s. They could really ground it in realism and make you feel for her. I totally expect them to ground this in realism. And I expect it to have more emotional attachment than the Friday the 13th movies do. And like the one thing I really want is give us protagonists that we care about.
Right.
I would argue that outside of Tommy Jarvis,
there's really not any
characters don't really exist. Nope. They're all one-offs. And I don't think this is going to be like a cannon fodder Friday the 13th show.
No, I'd like to see it go more serious. Like you said, throw some nods to some camp and some fun, maybe just for, you know, like just little Easter eggs for the series, but keep it grounded, keep it realistic, you know, show some fucked up backstory. I'm all for it. So
before we go here, this news just came out the other day, although I would suggest that it's been out for a while. There's more Fear Street coming. The next one's going to be a standalone. It's not going to be 3 movies. They're still touching up the script. It's not in a place where they are ready to go to shoot yet, but they're pretty confident that they'll be shooting it next year at some point. How did you guys receive the first set of Fear Street movies? You know, briefly here, and is there any excitement for a 4th one?
For me, they were a little tough to get through. I might just, like I said, out of boredom, I throw stuff on all the time, so I might go back and revisit them and give them a second chance and see if they'll take better the second time around. As far as like the 4th one, maybe being a standalone and maybe almost full-length 2-hour feature, I'll check it out. I give almost anything a chance, so definitely open to it. Looking forward to it, so I'll be watching for details on that next.
Matt?
I mean, me personally, I thought the first 2 were really good. I wasn't the biggest fan of the old when they went back to the 1600s and shot. I mean, it was okay, but the first 2 were the strong ones, and I can't say I was a little disappointed. But to hear that they're going to a full-length movie, I'm putting some hesitation on it, depending on which way they go and how the story is, and that's about it. That's about it, because that was so story driven, all 3 of them. And if they break away from that and just make it some senseless bloodbath, which I'm scared they might do, who knows? But let it be story driven like the first 2, and then I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Fear Street trilogy. I think for movies that are, you know, straight to streaming service, I thought they were really well done. I'll say this though, when I first seen the 3rd movie, 1666, I was probably way too stoned for my own good with my spouse, and I think we went off on just a verbal tirade in our group chat of how fucking awful this is, and it doesn't make any sense. And I think we ended up watching it a couple of more times a few weeks later. And honestly, out of all the movies, that was the one that grew on me, was the 3rd one, which is just fucking bananas considering where we started with that one. And I think when you look back at the 3 movies, like, I think, you know, it's a toss-up between the 2nd and 3rd one, which one I like better, but it's probably the first one I like the least. And that probably makes it hard for some people to get into it when first of 3 movies is, you know, a hard sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably. I haven't watched it since it came out, so I could probably watch it again, like see if it grows on me a little bit.
Yeah, it's me too. I haven't watched it in
yeah
a year, so yeah.
It's probably been more than a year for me since I've watched them, so definitely looking forward to more of that. We'll have to see what they come up with, though. Anyways, though, that is gonna do it for our little show tonight. Again, big thanks to our channel sponsors, to our patrons as well. Without you guys, we would not be here, wouldn't be able to do the content that we are doing. Next week, we're going to have a lot on Thanksgiving. It'll either be a big spoiler show or a big spoiler-free show. So tune in at your own risk. And there'll be more content coming to the Legacy of Halloween channel this week, at least 2 videos between now and Sunday. So be on the lookout from that. And they'll probably contain, at least one of them will contain clips from today's show as well. So for those of you who've seen it already, I understand if you don't tune in. And yeah, that's really all she wrote. So stay tuned. More to come. And I know I'm forgetting to tease something here, and I can't remember what the hell it was now.
Or a possible alumni guest, maybe?
No, not yet. Don't want to do that. Haven't locked that down yet. But we're getting closer. So the big thing is if he can fit it in his schedule. We have made contact, pardon me. If he can fit it in his schedule when it's good for us, before the end of the year.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at right now. But in terms of other stuff happening on the channel, we got the Legacy of Star Wars tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Big trivia matchup coming out for that with the IPC guys. And then we have a new Patreon show. We record it Tuesday nights after we record the Legacy of Star Wars. It's the Wastelands of Fandom. It's available to all patron tiers. And last week we talked Star Wars Battlefront 2, Nintendo 64, CM Punk, and Otani, who's probably going to get paid way too much money from somebody. Anyways, though, that is going to do it for our show tonight. Big thanks to Matt for coming out, and thanks to all you guys for tuning in. If you haven't yet, like, comment, subscribe, / that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future content. But yeah, our best guess is 2025 or 2026 for the Halloween TV series, simply because the extension for the writers and the actors was only 3 years, and there'll be so many projects that are pushed out during that time. So not too long of a wait. But until next time, have a great week, and don't forget, the boogeyman is coming.